I knew this confrontation was coming. When my brother Marcus's wife caught him cheating with her best friend, it wasn't just his marriage that imploded, it was our entire family's dynamic. As the successful sibling with a thriving investment firm, I became their ATM of choice. The security cameras caught Mom and Marcus entering my house at 9:43 a.m. I left the door unlocked, knowing they'd show up after Marcus's desperate voicemail last night. What they didn't know was that Judge Harrison and 4 other family court judges were already watching the live feed in their chambers, courtesy of my attorney's arrangement. Sarah, Mom's voice carried through the house. We need to talk about your brother's situation. I sat at my desk, heart pounding but hands steady. The small red light on my laptop confirmed the stream was active. In my office, Mom. They burst in like they owned the place. Marcus, disheveled in last night's clothes, and Mom, clutching her designer handbag like a weapon. The same bag I bought her last Christmas. Your brother needs $800,000 for his divorce settlement, Mom announced without preamble. You're going to provide it. I kept my voice level, remembering my attorney's advice. No, I'm not. Marcus made his choices. His divorce is his responsibility. She's trying to take everything. Marcus whined, slumping into my visitor's chair. The house, the cars, even my retirement account. Because you cheated on her with her best friend, I reminded him, for 2 years. Mom's face reddened. That's not the point. Family helps family. I have helped, I said, pulling out a folder. I've given Marcus $237,000 over the past 5 years. Money I was told was for his business, his mortgage, his kids' education. Instead, he spent it on luxury vacations with his girlfriend. You're just jealous because he has a life and you don't, Mom snapped. All you do is work and count money. The irony wasn't lost on me. My work and money were apparently terrible things until they needed them. My answer is no, I stated firmly. I'm not funding his divorce. Mom stepped closer, her designer heels clicking on my hardwood floor. You ungrateful brat. After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me? I asked quietly. When I started my company, you told everyone I was foolish. When I made my first million, you told the family I must have done something illegal. The only time you're proud of me is when you need money. Marcus jumped up. You think you're better than us just because you got lucky. Lucky, I laughed. I worked 80-hour weeks for 10 years. I lived in a studio apartment and ate ramen while you were buying sports cars with my money. Enough? Mom's scream was perfectly captured by the cameras. You will give your brother this money, or you're no longer part of this family. No. The slap echoed through the office. Mom's hand left a stinging impression on my cheek, her rings cutting into my skin. Marcus smirked. You're giving him the money, Mom hissed, or I'll tell everyone about your little secret from college. I touched my cheek, feeling the wetness of blood where her ring had cut me. You mean how I worked 3 jobs to pay tuition after you and Dad stole my college fund? Go ahead. Tell everyone. You little. Mom raised her hand again. I wouldn't, I said calmly. The first assault was bad enough. A second one would just make the judges angrier. Judges? Marcus's smirk vanished. What judges? I turned my laptop around, showing them the live stream. 5 windows showed 5 different courtrooms, where 5 judges were watching everything. In the corner of the screen, a recording indicator blinked steadily. You've been broadcasting us, Mom's voice rose to a shriek. No, Mom, you've been broadcasting yourselves. Everything you just did and said was witnessed by the family court judges handling Marcus's divorce case, including the assault, the attempted blackmail, and the admission about stealing my college fund. The color drained from both their faces. On the screen, Judge Harrison was already reaching for his phone. You set us up, Marcus whispered. No, brother dear. I just learned from last time. Remember when you forged my signature on those loans? I learned to keep evidence. A sharp knock at the front door made them both jump. Ms. Williams? A familiar voice called. This is Detective Rogers. We need to speak with your mother. The next few minutes were chaos. Mom trying to leave through the back door where another officer waited. Marcus attempting to delete the recording. Too late, it was already secured on 5 different servers, and me sitting calmly at my desk, pressing a cold compress to my cheek. As they were led away, Mom turned back one last time. You've destroyed this family. No, Mom, I said softly. You did that a long time ago. I'm just done paying for it. The detective stayed behind to take my statement, but we both knew it was just a formality. The evidence was clear, and 5 judges had witnessed everything. This time, there would be no covering up, no family secrets, no more financial abuse. My phone buzzed. A text from my attorney. Judges want to see you. Your brother's divorce just got more complicated. I smiled, wincing at the pain in my cheek. Sometimes justice comes with a price. But finally, I wasn't the one paying it. The courthouse hallway felt colder than usual as I sat outside Judge Harrison's chambers. My cheeks still throbbed where Mom's rings had cut me, but the satisfaction of finally standing up to them dulled the pain. My attorney, Diana Chen, reviewed her notes beside me. All 5 judges want to add your evidence to Marcus's divorce proceedings. Your mother's actions have complicated things. How badly? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. They've uncovered a pattern of financial fraud, Diana explained. Your brother wasn't just cheating on his wife, he was embezzling from their joint accounts and hiding assets. Your mother was helping him. Before she could elaborate, Judge Harrison's clerk called us in. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. All 5 judges sat around a conference table, their expressions grave. On the center screen, the video of Mom's assault played silently. Judge Harrison spoke first. Ms. Williams, we've reviewed not only today's incident but also the financial documentation you provided. I have to ask, how long has this financial abuse been going on? I took a deep breath. Since I started my company 8 years ago. At first, it was small amounts, a few thousand here and there for what they called family emergencies. But after Marcus's affair became public, it escalated. Judge Morris, the senior family court judge, finished for me. We've seen the transfer records, $812,000 in total, not counting the college fund theft. Diana handed them another file. We've also discovered that Ms. Williams's mother and brother used her personal information to obtain multiple loans. The judges exchanged looks. Judge Harrison leaned forward. Ms. Williams, are you aware that your brother listed you as a guarantor for his assets in his divorce proceedings? My blood ran cold. What? He claimed you had agreed to cover all his financial obligations, Judge Peterson added. There's paperwork with your signature, though given what we witnessed today, I'm questioning its authenticity. My hands shook as I examined the documents they provided. The signatures looked perfect because they were copied from my legitimate business documents. I never signed these, I stated firmly, and I never agreed to guarantee anything. We believed as much, Judge Harrison nodded. Which is why we've already contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. This goes beyond family court now. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Fix this or I'll tell them everything about your company. I showed the message to the judges. He's been trying to blackmail me with false allegations about my business practices. I have all his threats documented. Judge Morris made a note. The FBI will want to see those. Ms. Williams, I have to ask, why did you wait until now to come forward? I stared at my hands, remembering years of manipulation and guilt. Their family. Every time I tried to refuse, they'd remind me of everything they'd supposedly done for me. Mom would cry, Marcus would bring his kids around. I kept hoping they'd change. Until today, Diana added softly. Until today, I agreed. When I heard they were planning to make me responsible for the divorce settlement, I knew it would never end. They'd keep taking until there was nothing left. The judges conferred quietly before Judge Harrison spoke again. We're issuing an immediate injunction preventing both your mother and brother from contacting you or accessing any of your accounts. Given the assault and attempted extortion we witnessed, we're also recommending criminal charges. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. You ungrateful child. After everything we've sacrificed for you. Judge Peterson noticed my expression. More threats? No, I said, showing them the message. Just the usual guilt trip. Ms. Williams, Judge Morris said kindly, what we witnessed today wasn't family. It was organized financial abuse. Your mother and brother are facing serious charges, and your sister-in-law's attorney will be very interested in this new evidence. As we left the chambers, Diana squeezed my shoulder. You did the right thing. They can't hurt you anymore. In the parking lot, I found my car vandalized, Marcus's final act of retaliation before being taken into custody. The words "Fenianai traitor" were scratched deep into the paint. Diana took photos while I called the police. As I waited, Another text came through, this time from my sister-in-law. Thank you for telling the truth. I knew something wasn't right with their stories. For the first time that day, I felt tears forming. Not from pain or fear, but from relief. The truth was finally out, and with it, the weight of years of manipulation and abuse began to lift. The detective who arrived to document the vandalism was sympathetic. Family financial abuse cases are always tough, she said, photographing the damage. But you've done everything right. You kept records, you gathered evidence, and most importantly, you came forward. Looking at my damaged car, I realized it was a fitting symbol. Like me, it bore the scars of their abuse, but it was still running, still moving forward. The scratches could be repaired, just like I could heal. What happens now? I asked Diana as we watched the police finish their report. Now, she said firmly, you live your life without their chains, and they face the consequences of their actions. I nodded, touching my bruised cheek one last time. The pain was already fading, and with it the last traces of guilt about standing up to my family. Sometimes, protecting yourself means being willing to let go of those who hurt you, even if they share your blood. 1 year later, I sat in the federal courthouse, watching as Marcus and Mom were led in for sentencing. The past 12 months had revealed a web of financial crimes that shocked even the prosecutors. The FBI's investigation had uncovered over $2 million in fraudulent loans, forged documents, and hidden assets. My brother's divorce had been the tip of an iceberg of deception that spanned nearly a decade. All rise, the clerk announced as Judge Reeves entered. I straightened in my seat, feeling my sister-in-law Amanda's supportive presence beside me. After the divorce revelations, Amanda had reached out. We discovered we'd both been victims of Marcus's manipulations, and an unexpected friendship formed from the ashes of his deceptions. Before I delivered the sentence, Judge Reeves began, would the victims like to make their statements? I approached the podium, the prepared statement trembling in my hands. Mom and Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. For years, I believed that family meant sacrificing everything for each other. I began. I was taught that love meant giving until it hurt, and then giving more. What I wasn't taught was the difference between support and exploitation. Taking a deep breath, I continued. My mother and brother didn't just steal my money, they stole my trust, my sense of family, and years of my life. They used my success as a weapon against me, turning every achievement into an obligation. Mom started crying, but I'd learned to recognize her tears for what they were, another manipulation tactic. The physical assault that day in my office wasn't the first act of violence, it was just the first one caught on camera. The real violence was the years of emotional and financial abuse, the constant threats, the manipulation of my love and guilt. After I finished, Amanda took her turn, revealing how Marcus had systematically drained their children's college funds while convincing her she was bad with money. Judge Reeves listened intently before addressing the defendants. Mrs. Williams, Mr. Williams, your actions show a calculated pattern of exploitation targeting your own family members. The court sentences you to 8 years in federal prison for financial fraud, with additional time for assault and extortion. As they were led away, Marcus finally looked at me. Sarah, please, the kids need their father. They need their college funds more. I replied calmly, which is why I've already set up new trust accounts for them, ones you can't access. Outside the courthouse, Amanda hugged me. It's really over. Almost I smiled. There's one more thing. The next day, I stood in front of my company's board announcing the launch of the Family Financial Abuse Prevention Foundation. Using part of my recovered funds, we provide resources and legal support for victims of familial financial exploitation. Deanna, now the foundation's legal advisor, helped me cut the ribbon at our first office. You've turned your pain into purpose, she observed. Pain teaches us what we need to learn, I replied. I learned that real family doesn't demand your sacrifice. They celebrate your success. The foundation's first case came sooner than expected. A young entrepreneur, tears in her eyes, showed us texts from her parents demanding she sell her successful startup to pay for her brother's gambling debts. They say I owe them, she whispered. That family sacrifices for family. I showed her my mother's final text to me, sent just before she was taken to prison. A real daughter would have protected her family. No, I told the young woman. Real family protects each other from harm, not demands you harm yourself for them. 6 months after the sentencing, I received a letter from Mom's prison counselor. Mom had finally admitted her actions, recognizing the pattern of abuse she perpetuated. She asked if I consider visiting. I wrote back a simple response. When you can respect my boundaries as much as you want my forgiveness, we can talk. Marcus's kids visit me monthly now. We never discuss their father, but I make sure they understand healthy financial boundaries. Their new college funds are secure, and Amanda and I are teaching them that love doesn't come with a price tag. Last week, I found the old family photo album. Looking at the pictures, I realized something profound. The family I mourned never really existed. It was a facade maintained by my sacrifice and their demands. But from those ashes, something authentic has grown. Amanda and her kids, my foundation family, friends who celebrate my boundaries instead of challenging them. It's not the family I was born into, but it's the family I chose, and that makes all the difference. The scar on my cheek from Mom's rings has faded, but the lessons remain. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is say no to those we love. Sometimes the truest form of family is the one we build after the one we were born into breaks. And sometimes the highest form of self-love is protecting ourselves from those who claim to love us most. Standing in my office, where it all ended a year ago, I finally archived Mom's number in my phone. The screen asking, "Are you sure?" seemed to ask about more than just a phone number. Yes, I was sure. Sure that family shouldn't hurt. Sure that love shouldn't cost. Sure that I deserved better. And most importantly, sure that I would never again confuse exploitation for love.